some blood over Foreman's right eye. It appears to be on the bottom. Yes, there is a slit just over Foreman's right eye. Perhaps you can detect it. Does not appear serious at this moment unless the flow of blood starts to go down into the eye. Now Foreman is belaboring Peralta, and for the first time, Peralta appears a little tired. Just 10 seconds left in round 5, with Peralta fighting back, but obviously tired. Blood over Foreman's right eye. Combination by Foreman, coming in strongly against Peralta now, but Peralta taking the punches. Once Willie Pastrano, never noted as a puncher, stopped Peralta in the 5th round, but that was because of cuts. Peralta has always been a determined competitor.
When Big Fights Boxing Hour returns, we'll have the conclusion of the heavyweight tussle between George Foreman and Gregorio Peralta.
You're watching Big Fights Boxing Hour on ESPN Classic.
Round 9. Tough fight for George Foreman. Unofficial scoring around ringside. Very close. Foreman slightly in the lead. Seasoned Peralta doing just about what the matchmaker Teddy Brenner expected. Putting up a whale of a battle against the younger, stronger man, giving away 15 pounds, but using his experience to tie Foreman up on the inside, never to give Foreman the leverage for the thunderous lefts and rights that he was able to use as an amateur in his first 15 professional fights. Now Foreman got in a good left and a right and hurt Peralta. Peralta was hurt. Foreman going at him, but not putting him down. But Peralta hurt. Peralta calling on all his guile, trying to tie Foreman up inside. Foreman pushing him off. Crowd sensing the kill. Peralta now in the corner, as you see. Foreman flailing away at him, and not landing the one good punch that could put him down. It's a tired George Foreman, and his punches don't have the power that they had earlier, and he just can't put Peralta down. Little more than a minute left in this, the 9th round. Peralta on the attack now. Not doing any damage, but Peralta turning aggressive. This is what I meant by Peralta being a dogged competitor. There's a good left by Foreman, but Peralta right in there, and a good right too. 10 seconds left of an exciting round with Foreman belaboring Peralta, but Peralta gamely fighting back. of blood in the fight was Foreman's blood. Crowd yells as Peralta lands a right. As Peralta attempts to buffet Foreman with a couple of more rights. Foreman's blood above the right eye. A minor slit. Never amounted to anything up to this point. Best round in the fight for Foreman, the 9th round. The one just over, we're in the 10th. We have about 2 minutes left in the fight. Scoring on a round system, supplemental point system if the rounds are even. This is a town for underdogs. It's the city of the Mets and the city of the Jets, and they love to see the underdog come on. Looks really tired to this reporter. Really tired. He is doubtless in the lead in the scoring, but you never really know. The fight is not that widely disparate. Left and right combination to the head. Drawing upon inner resources, trying to end it if he can. Less than a minute left in the fight. That, in fairness to Foreman, he was off balance. He was not hit. He was not hurt. Crowd yelling because of their feeling for the underdog. This has been one well of a 10-rounder, even before the heavyweight championship fight. Seconds left in the bout. The referee and the judges have rendered their decision. Now Johnny Addy.
Tony Castellano, 5-4, 1 even, Foreman. Jack Foreman, 7-3, Foreman. Referee Bob Pound, 9-1, Foreman.
So Foreman did adjust his style a bit, shortening his punches and showing a strong right lead. Though he did revert to his wild style a few times, Foreman found himself going the distance in a fight for only the 3rd time in his young career. He was also quick to shake off the boos he received from the Garden crowd. The crowd was beautiful, he said. The booing? I'm a fighter first, then I'm a performer second. And every performer has his critics. Foreman's trainer, Dick Sandler, could take some of the credit for the victory. Sandler knew that the exhausted Foreman had not been keeping track of the round numbers. So at the end of the 8th round, Sandler told him, "The next round's your last. Give it your all." After the 9th round, Foreman, of course, realized he'd been tricked and became so furious he didn't know whether to pound Sandler or his Argentine opponent. Foreman and Peralta would meet again in 1971, and Foreman would prevail with a 10th round knockout. Let's go beyond the ring to see what was making headlines. In 1969, the year that George Foreman turned pro, nearly 500,000 people gathered in upstate New York in the name of peace, love, and rock and roll. Rain-soaked flower children grooved to the likes of Jimi Hendrix, Jefferson Airplane, and Sly and the Family Stone, as Woodstock became the most celebrated musical festival of all time. That same week, a struggling musician named Charles Manson became one of America's most infamous criminals. The leader of a cult known as the Family, Manson was preparing his followers for a devastating race war that would end with Manson taking over the world. Manson sent his disciples to seek revenge on a record producer who had rejected him. Though the producer wasn't home, Manson's henchmen murdered 5 people who were there, including starlet Sharon Tate, the pregnant wife of film director Roman Polanski. The next night, Manson's followers killed 2 more people. The murders were marked by multiple stab wounds and obscure messages written on the walls in blood. The most famous one, Helter Skelter, the title of a song by the Beatles. The Tate LaBianca murders, as they came to be known, may have gone unpunished had cult member Susan Atkins not told her story later that year while in jail on prostitution charges. Manson and his cohorts were found guilty and received the death penalty, but their sentences were commuted to life in prison when the state of California abolished capital punishment. After lighting up the Madison Square Garden undercards for a few years, George Foreman finally got his first main event bout at the Garden on August 4th, 1970. He was facing the Canadian heavyweight George Chuvalo, he of the granite chin, who had fought and earned respect from Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali, and Floyd Patterson. This was the 21-year-old Foreman's biggest payday to date, and he was again facing a much older opponent. Chuvalo was 11 years his senior, and though Foreman was a slim favorite going into the bout, many were there to see if Foreman was championship caliber. Ringside guests included top heavyweights Jerry Quarry, Jimmy Ellis, and Floyd Patterson. Foreman was 21-0 going in with 18 knockouts. The rough-and-tumble Chuvalo was 59-15-2.